My name is Moon-Seon Park. Yeah, usually it is very easy to memorize my name. You refer my first name as a Moon, and second name is a Korean sounds is like sun. So Moon and Sun is very easy name anyway. So I'm very honored to have some kind of presentation to you to show our Korean classical the music market at the present and such as some progress until now. Actually, the first Korean president was supposed to last year. After already passed away, Mr. Kim is supposed to present the Korean classical market, but with this sudden accident, kind of the sudden death, so it was not happen so far. And I'm honored to have such a big, some kind of the responsibility to show some Korean market to you. So yeah, finally, I had a chance to give you some small, actually the small insight about such. I learned from almost 18 years experience in Korean classical music market. So yeah, I will start my presentation. Yeah, it says the Korean new waves in classical music. And somebody knows about the Korean waves these days is basically happen in the pop music side, and the Korean local pop artists are very famous in other Asian countries and some European countries. But also, because of that, the waves, the classical side also have some similar new waves actions. So usually we call it, in Korean people would like to call it the new waves in classical music side. So I'd like to talk about those fields a little anyway. So I'd like to give you some overview about the Korean classical and almost the overall the music market about the overview. And the second, some regarding to the classical music acts, some government side is what they are doing and what have been done. So I will give you some examples about that. And also I will give you some new tries in our classical Korean peoples, some new action. But it is not new, but yeah, it's called as a new waves in these days. So I will give you some information about that. And then also for the new method of surviving in these very hard classical music situations, Koreans are trying to new technology science. So I will give you some more information about that also. And then I will conclude and give you some conclusions after that. So before I start my presentation, I would like to introduce myself a little. And now I'm working for the private foundation company, cultural foundation. We basically support classical new young artists and some classical events, and also we are one of some kind of famous in Korean the mecena company. So we have been established in 2004, and this year is the 10th anniversary about the foundation. So actually I joined this foundation recently, and I started the musical business since 1995 from Sony Music Classical, the manager. So I've been working in this classical side quite a long anyway, not short. So one of our company's famous thing is we have big awards in classical awards. It is only for the classical artist, and we've been awarded more than, this year's was 8th, the cultural foundation, the Daewon Music Awards is the grand prize is quite big money is donated to the established and big achievements artists in classical side only. So maybe you know the Maestro Myung-Hoon Jang and also Kyung-Hwa Jang. Yeah, they are recently awarded the person about these awards. So yeah, I'm working for this cultural foundation. And basically we are only work with the Korean local artists, but yeah, we are also very interested in the exporting, actually supporting our artists to work internationally. So I'd like to work with the foreign foundations and other the organizations or some of the concert peoples or management peoples in around the world. So our next goal is the communicate more with the foreign affiliates, and would like to show our new and young talented classical artists in the worldwide market. So yeah, I start with this very single chart. As you all know about the classical music, yeah, since 1998 and 2010, this graph shows how the music market trend. The volume used to be very big. When I first, I also would like to talk about my personal experience about that. When I joined at 1995, there was some kind of the very developing period about Korean classical music. So Tower Record is just make a new branches in Korea, and HMB also trying to investigate the Korean market, and even local, very small retailer market, making their new branches in the other big cities, like competing with the Tower Record and something like that. So it was a very good years. Yeah, everybody's happy about that. When we just released the album, it sold like 1 million, and even in classical, sometimes we sold 100,000 units very easily. Not easily, but yeah, we made it that numbers at the time. But since then, almost within 15 years, the market shrink around only the 1/5 size of that used to be. When I first joined in the Sony Classical, I have to take care of the more than 2,000 retail shops in the whole country. But these days, they only 177 something the shops that survived at the time. Most of them, still the music market size is not changed much, but the consumers all moved to the different field, like the digital or pirates or some another sources of the music they trying to connect with. Not anymore. They don't go to the CD shops to buying CDs. But one interesting thing is recently the retro fashion is very famous in Korea too. So some people are very interested in the LP or cassette tape again. So some local pop artists released the limited version of cassette tape, around 20,000 copies, but it sold just one day. It's a very interesting situations. But as you can see, the size of the market is keep coming down. It's actually is a music market for the physical and digital side only together. It's not connect with the concert size. And recently, the data shows 2010s, our Korean government research. One of the biggest one is the Korean local pop. It's a Melon. We have 3 big local companies, better than the international, the major companies. Most of the country, the major companies, one of the best or second, within among 3, the rank in their music chart. But in Korea, the universal music is only number 3rd. So these 2 are the big guys, mainly the work with the local pop artists, and universal and the major companies are still there among the 5th, the rankings, but they are not good in the Korean classical market. So Korean music market is consists with the 1/3 part is the offline market, and the other part is the digital market. So offline market is still the CD, DVD, and Blu-ray, and those new medias and also working, but the volume is very small as used to be. And digital market is if we have a special situation, but most of the digital market is dominated by the mobile, the service provider, like the big local company. Yeah, here in Germany, like T-Mobile, the Korean company SK Telecom is one of the best share about the music market too. So they have their own music service, and they subscribe the clients, as a kind of monthly or annually some signing the contract. So they have millions of the customers already when they provided the mobile services. So they take the big share in the digital market. And the second is also another the mobile provider, and they are the government side. So Korea Telecom is a government side, the mobile service provider, and they have their own the music side, like the Ole Music. So they are second of the market share, but the gap is quite big anyway. And then the other the online the service engine company like the Naver and Daewon is like the Google in Korea, one of the best the online internet search engine companies are Naver in Korea. So their share is number one, and they recently started the music business in this digital side. So they are still already one of the best known the search engine company. So as soon as they started the music services, they are like the third of the whole digital music chart. So they are quite good and keep developing, and they are already almost 10,000, more than 10,000 customers already they have. So they are very strong in the classical and also music market in Korea. And the other thing is a mobile service. Yeah, most of people like, I don't know, it's similar in this European side, but when you go in Korean, especially in the city of the Seoul, when you go to the subway, almost 90% of people are looking at the mobile phones and hand phones, or sometimes iPad, iPhone, something like that. So everybody's they're concentrating on the mobile things in every time and everywhere. And everybody have their earphones together. So they are enjoying the drama, the music, and the movies, and every content, entertainment content through that mobile phone. So as you know that the Korea is one of the best company for the high-speed internet services. So it's very easy to get in touch with the contents very easily and without any payment. So the people are very easy to getting those information through the mobile phone or the mobile devices these days. So this market is quite big, but actually it's not music market. It's basically some kind of the subscription and some only compensation. The fee is coming out. So the market size is very small, but actually users are quite huge, and almost 80% of the people, the country's nation's population uses their mobile phone. So it's a kind of big potential market also. And one of the kind of the new market is a shop background music service market. It is when you go to the Starbucks, there is some music is coming out, but those streaming services is started very recently. It's been only 5 or 6 years, and this market is getting big, but still most of the small retail shops, they are using their own CD players, or there is no music at all. So it is kind of the developing market, and this market is also very meaningful market, but yeah, we'll have more things to do in this market. So in these cases, there are special working companies on this market. So they are usually signed with the major companies or the major local music providers. So they are quite new companies, and recently they are grown up very much. So they keep developing kind of the new services in the music, shop background music market. So I think this might be similar in the European side or not, but yeah, I think it's a very interesting market too. And the last paragraph shows that there is the IPPI is International Federation Phonograph Industry. They said in this year's report, Korea is the number 1, 10th biggest music market company. It's like the $200 million size. So used to be Korea is among the 20 or something, but this year, yeah, we get into the number 10. So Korean music is still keep growing, but the formation is very difficult and used to be. So I'd like to show one some interesting the situation or some effect in the Korean music market that is influenced by some big TV dramas. And as you know that the TV is one of the strongest media in Korea also. And recently, some very interesting TV dramas related with the classical music, when they have a big success, and then after that, the need is increased so much. So every episode is coming out, the next day the chart is changing and chart is moving like that. So the population of the viewership is quite big in Korea. So even there are some kind of the cable TVs, but yeah, this program is quite unique. So anyway, customers in Korea are very influenced by something TV dramas and some major media's effect very easily. So I think this might be a very good sample in Korean market. And yeah, I'd like to talk about the concert market too. Yeah, concert market size is very similar with the city markets, but they are also around $300 million US size. But recently, I think they are keep growing. But they said it's 2010 data. But after that, the growth rate is actually not as much as big as this one. It's around these days. I guess is maybe half percentage of the growing percentage. So at the moment, the Korean market is very developed after 2007. I don't know why, but after that we have big changes. There are many big international orchestras coming to Korea, and the local concert makers did a very good job at the time. And also around that years, the government side, they opened very new concert halls in the cities. And then there are many big events that keep holding. And some numbers shows there is a big market for the operas. But in case of the operas, they're showing very high price ticket and a very long period. So they are having a very big portion of the market. So in the next pages, you can see some portion of the music, the things. Yeah. I mean, anyway, first this is showing about how the music market size changes. The yellow one is the digital size. So since 2006, after we started the digital market, they are growing so fast. And around 2008, they oversized the offline market. So these days, the digital market is much bigger than the offline market, and offline market is keep going down, but still digital is quite surviving very well in the market. So next page, you can see the left under the chart. That shows us it's a Korean story about the Korean, but that shows us how the portion about the concert market, the repertoires. Far left is a musical. Yeah, one of the big portion of the Korean concert market is a musical, and the next one is the live concert for the local pop or the very international artists or something like that. And then second is the play. It's like the theater. Still, play is one of the big market for the people, so they keep sustaining their sizes. And then there is a classic and opera. That is I guess one-fifth portion about the whole concert market. Still, there is a very good market, and they keep surviving. Yeah. The overall changes in the Korean concert market is that musical is developed so well in the market, and I don't know why, but Korean people like the musical so much. Yeah, and Korean people very like the dancing and singing together. So the musical market is one of the best, and more than almost 200 shows is open every day in Korea at the moment. So comparing with that, the classical market is just within 10 or 20. It's one of the big concerts is make money, and the others sometimes lose. And the other chart is just show the characteristic of our concert market. The right side is the sexual, the portion. The bigger one is the female, and the smaller one is the male. So most of the big customer in Korea, they are the female, and especially their ages. Left side is the ages, especially 20 to 30. They are sharing more than 72% of the whole market. So they are main customer in the concert market, and they are big buyer. So that's why the young female ladies like the musical. Maybe they want to watch with their boyfriend or some family. So that's why these portions are mainly the females market anyway. So yeah, this is for the music and the concert market. And then about the musical market, the government acts like this. Actually, the Korean is usually traditionally the artists are some not well deserved in the common people. The most of time the Korean, we have more than 5,000 historical histories, but most of the majorities are controlled by some politicians or some writers or some literatural people. So Korea is the artist people is under their control usually. So that the traditions comes until these days, but after 2007, the artists should be treated more, and people think about need some changes for the artists. But sadly, that because of some very aggressive working artists died with poverty. So that's why that issues became a big news in the Korean medias. And then the people trying to think about the artist again. So after that, at the same time, the UNESCO started some standard for the artist status. So that influenced also come to Korea, and then the artist welfare law trying to begin, and finally 2010 it is made, and 2011 it is work in our Korean society. So this day, this law protect the artist status and artist working, and the basic fundamental for supporting the artist. So it's just changing. So this day, the composers and players have more chance to, with the standard of the basic the government's law. And also, 2013, the cultural standard law. Yeah, somebody said the fundamental law. We said that is not exist. So it's funny thing, but it says it depends. Before that, there is no actual law. Yeah, the acting or treat the artist or the artist the behaviors. So after that, this is the political principle. Yeah, this is providing political principle for every cultural actor in Korea. So I think that this is a very basic things, but it happened these days, and from now on, the artistical acts and other the cultural things that protected by government side. So I think the basic is already accomplished. So from now on, we have to work more anyway. Yeah, I think there's the responsibility to our industry people anyway. And yeah, some people said that copyright issues are still big issues in Asian side. That's because there are too much infringements and the piracy issues. But still, after that, the EU, WTA, everything has been changed, and recently some very problem have been solved a lot. But still, we have some more solved problems, and it's kind of the homework in our copyright side. So yeah, I have some, I mentioned with the dark years, but it's the beauty of when I was work for the record company, the very weakness is a kind of the, very like the Achilles about our industry. So some very smart guys are using these areas, but it's getting better and better more. But still, we have some problem, and there are many people that are trying to solve this problem anyway. I hope that it'll be better more. And regarding to the new waves, yeah, usually the industries are more like inbound system. Yeah, we only invite the foreign artists and showing the local side. But this day, very young, talented artists like this one, for example, they are the winner of the 2011 Tchaikovsky International Competition. The far left is the singer first prize, and then the male singer in first prize also, and the third is a piano second prize, and the right side is a piano also third prize, and the far right side is a violin third place. So it's the first time the 5 Korean people are the won the international competition like this. So the media-wise is a very interesting stories, but I think it's a good example in the Korean outbound activities. So this day, yeah, like I want to do is Korean local artists should be working internationally, so they have to communicate more and working in the outside. But that used to be a very short-term basis, but I hope it'll be more long-term activities from now on anyway. So the other thing is very big famous artists like in K-pop side. Yeah, maybe some of you know about the Psy in the Europe side and the American side. He's a kind of big the Fever like the very big artist in the Korean side. After that, the outside the people trying to interested in the other genre like the classical and some of the traditional. So I think that this is a good chance to showing our contents to other peoples internationally. So that is a kind of the new wave just keep acting. So like this case in classical next, we would like to show the collaboration with our traditional instruments and international artists, international instruments together. So tomorrow night we'll have some small showcases, but you can see how that collaboration is working like that, and that content itself. This usually just showing our traditional music to the foreigners, but this is a kind of the new approach, the working with the international instrument, and then we'd like to make more international assets together. So basically, we have more than 1,500 years old history of the Korean traditional music. So we didn't know how to develop those things, but from now on, the very young, talented artists and some nice composers, yeah, they are trying to make something with collaborate with internationally, and then they trying to go out like the classical next or any other WOMEX or international the experts like that, and each of them is working in each field. And one good thing is this kind of the activities is supported by the government side. So, and maybe you can see in the first expo places there are 2 Korean government sides that have their own stand booths. So I think this is quite good example to how our government is supporting the Korean artists to working outside, and not just working outside. We would like to make some collaboration, work together. So I think these activities can make some new waves in classical side too. So we try to call it the new waves, but I'm really want that kind of these new waves make some big buzz sometimes. So I told already that in our music side is that new technology is very yeah, they have some big portion. That's because we are very close market with Japan, and Japan is also very good at kind of the new technologies. So one of the things I already told, we have one of the most advanced company for the high speed, the internet service. So like the 4G is the most highest speed in the internet, the services. So when you downloading the whole movie, is happen just seconds in Korea. So the big quantity of the content and the many kind of the format of the content can be serviced by the mobile. So I think this market is also very important, and this is keep developing and one of the fast changing market in Korea, I guess. So, and also one of the interesting part is that this day the people are not interested anymore with the conventional city side. So especially classical people more very picky with the sound quality and some recording days and who's in playing. So that in Korea, people are more like that. So they like the new format, like the HFPA, the high fidelity pure audio. Yeah, they said it's made by the Universal side, but it's very similar with the SACD, Super Audio Compact Disc. So those high quality CDs are very developing in Korea, and also because of retro fashion, the LPs and other the format is also very still surviving, and some Korean small companies are trying to import the European-made LPs so much. So in Korea also, LP market is only increasing the offline market. All other the format is going down, but only the LPs keep increasing. It's internationally interestingly anyway. So yeah, classical mania people are very interested in that this high quality, and some other side, even in internet side, they are providing these high quality services these days. So I think this is very interesting changes. So yeah, I think my speech is all supposed to end this very soon, but I'd like to conclude everything. So yeah, we Korean people's actually classical market is not so long history we have, but our music loving is a very old history. Yeah, more than and historically the singing, the Korean peninsula is the start more than the Stone Ages or Bronze Ages. So since then, the Korean peoples are loving the singing and dancing together. So that's why the Korean peoples are very good at the playing and dancing. And some of the things are the educational system in Korea. We are very affected by the Japanese system, but we, the Korean people, started learning music from elementary school. So even elementary school, we learned the music, classical history and classical composers and classical instruments. I think that's not common in every other world. So even though we don't know about our traditional instrument, we know the violin and the cellos and piano. That's why the Korean people, most of the Korean, these young children, like students, they can play piano and sometimes violin. So that's why the Korean people are easy to get in touch with the international instrument, like the classical instrument. So that's why the Korean people are very good at international competitions and international classical scenes. But one problem is after 30 or after when they have to work intensively, their power is getting decreased. That's because of I'm not told about that's because of the student educational system. But the university, the educational system is getting changed, and the artists like the 20s and 30s, they want to experience more like the foreign the system, like the lecturing. And so most of Korean artists this day, they study in the Europe side. So they are learning the European style, European system, and then they will become more competitive, the artists in the international market. So I hope that they will work more closely with the international people and the international music scene. So after 30, it's very hard to find the Korean artists that working in the international classical scene. So I'm a little sad about that, but only the famous guy like the Maestro Jung is still very famous in European side, but no one else like him. So that's the Korean music market is a homework, and it'll be better. And yeah, I hope this will gonna be changed, and the international people also interested in Korean market, and our also Korean artists they would like to work in the internationally. So that is our goal and the homework, something like that. So that is my presentation. So if you have any question, I would like to receive your questions. Yeah, I didn't kind of the professional speakers, so I'm just giving you some information, the fact. So I hope you understand some Korean market. And yeah, in any case, yeah, you can contact me for any questions about the Korean market, and also my cultural foundation, and also privately I am working for some management and some other the concept making. So any question can be, I'm happily receive. And thank you for today's conference. Yeah, I hope you get some small information of the Korean market anyway. Thank you very much.